our education system by virtue of the fact that we've put so much emphasis on the examination to a point where we don't care so much about understanding the concepts, understanding what education really is. We are so much towards passing the examination, but what do we do about that? But maybe just to get your opening remarks.
I will not think about the systems. I'll think about the end results. And I'll ask myself the reason why a child would want to think. Maybe we exact a lot of pressure to the child, to the children, to our children. Like I said before that I lived in America, and it's totally different from what we see in Africa. When your child performs poorly in Kenya, you ask them, niliuza ng'ombe nilipeleka ingine shule. But when a child performs poorly in America, the question is totally different. You can do better, my son, or you can do better, my. We don't encourage it. So that is a pressure exacted from the family. And then at the end of the day, where do I take this certificate? The employer is only looking at the certificate, but they are not looking at what I can do. What is my talent? What am I able to do? What can I offer? They are just they want to see whether it's called C or B or D or A. That's what we charge people. So the pressure we exact on students is too much that it leads to cheating. Then number two, why are we, and I like it when I hear somebody say there are schools marked. Why are they being called schools? If there's a school which we know that they cheat, why do we let them? That's the question we need to ask. So I will not bother too much about the system, because will the system change the cheating? The end result will change the cheating.
Koki, you're a lecturer. What do we need to rethink about our education system? And I'm sure you receive, since you're lecturing in university, you receive students who have already gone through, the basic education. And we have so much emphasis on an examination to a point where even if somebody got the A's, sometimes they cannot practically use those A's in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. I think any student who gets an A in Kenya is a very good, is very good in memory work. Just being able to cram and getting the answers right. And of course, then there are some subjects that lend themselves to that kind of, cognitive development, where you have to think, kind of cram like and then apply, that is okay. But the bottom line is like what Mheshimiwa is saying, the potential. Do we make sure that we feed those children with enough for them to be potentially as good as they can be? Because children have different capabilities, children have different personalities, children have different abilities. Do we take that into cognizance? And I was hoping that the new education system would look at it from that perspective. Because again, parents, we are also to blame, or the society is also to blame, because we are looking at children as a status symbol. We want them to go through the processes that we've set in their lives: go to school, get married, get a job. Oh, is it go to school, get a job, get married, get children? We want them to go through that chronological, sequence, which is not realistic, because not everybody matures in the same way, or has the same opportunities, or is able to adjust. Some are late bloomers. We don't have consideration for those things. So just the idea that my child has done well and is kind of a status thing for me could be one of the issues. Again, it is believed through education. Remember, so many vijana, ongeze pia bidii. The idea that, yes, education is a way out of whatever predicament you think you are in at a given time. Then you find that the easier way is for you to probably impress your parents and get yourself out of that situation. Again, when we were going to school earlier on, education was calibrated. You knew that after standard 8, you'd go to a youth polytechnic. You knew after Form 4, you'd go to strong tertiary colleges. And then you knew if you made it to campus, you'd go to campus, and you would be placed accordingly. And of course, there's a situation where you can still rise today, but if that was in place, then there's no point of really struggling to get a grade that will take you somewhere where you don't even fit.
All right. Yeah. Mark Bichachi, your thoughts on our education system and the fact that maybe we need to rethink that word education, because we put so much weight on the academics to a point where somebody who may not be an A student academically is considered not to have passed, yet they're intelligent in other areas.
You know, we should just stop calling it a Ministry of Education and call it a Ministry of Examination, because the only thing that matters is an examination, which is very, very silly, because the whole point of being examined is to show you where you are competent and where you are incompetent. That's the whole point, okay? The whole point, actually, of going through an exam is to be shown that you are very stupid in physics, but you're very bright in
biology or whatever.
Biology or social studies. So in that sense, there's never really a failure. You understand? Because the truth of the matter is this, and I was a victim of this, is that in Kenya, if you pass in physics, you are considered to be more clever than if you passed in English. And therefore they decided that my grade in physics versus my grade in English, I deserve to go do engineering. Okay, which I suffered through and wondered why do we have long formulas? Because I was born to talk. You understand? So we do not have an emphasis on developing the most important asset any country can have, that is the natural talents and abilities of its citizens. And the problem with such a system is we are going more and more into a world where everything is disruptive, okay? Engineering as a career is about to even end because we have computers today which will 3D print a custom-made part from a problem. So at which point will we need engineers in the traditional sense? What Kenya needs to understand is, as a developing country, we need to change our education system into a capacity building system, into a system where from the time you are a child, we are beginning to identify where you are a footballer. Where if you're a footballer, we give you 4 lessons of PE and 1 lesson of mathematics. Because as it is today, the footballer, the engineer, the artist have double math, double English, single Kiswahili, 20 seconds of PE. That's the problem. So we need to begin to custom make our education system for the talents and abilities of our children.